13.7 billion years ago, an event called the Big Bang happened. The universe expanded faster than the speed of light, and still has been doing so ever since. And through an extremely slow process made possible through gravity, very small shit, which the universe was mostly made out of, started to get attracted to other very small shit, to form slightly bigger stuff, which in turn attracted the other slightly bigger stuff, and this process kept on repeating itself until the formation of stars and in turn big rocks and planets. The rocks, planets and stars attracted, collided and reposed in a very long and steamy cosmic dance. The universe was a messy, hot, dangerous place. But after a few billion years, the universe started to chill, which allowed the formation of stable solar systems and galaxies, and allowed the existence of planets that can be considered meeting the basic requirements to sustain life. Which, as a side point, we still have no idea why life in and of itself exists. Why does the universe just randomly spawns biological organisms into existence from the fucking ether, and why is their innermost driving purpose survival? We just know that life will form if the conditions required to sustain its existence are met, but still have no clue why. Back to the main point. So, around 4 billion years ago was the time of the first life forms on Earth. They were simple, cellular life forms that began in water, and because those cells have DNA and that the universe has the inherent property of entropy, which means the universe has the natural propensity of moving towards disorder and chaos, DNA mutated over time. In short, what we call evolution is the result of defective DNA, and through that very slow process of evolution where organic stuff that wasn't adjusted to the environment died, leaving the stuff that was most fit to survive in each particular environment they were born into, repeating that cycle for a couple billion years. And voila, around 300,000 years ago, the first Homo sapiens were born. Which, by the way, weren't the first human-like forms. There were actually quite a few Homo projects that nature tried out, but they all eventually went extinct. Except for us, or at least for now. Meaning that biological life on Earth somehow ends up creating iterations of cognitively able beings. So, we are not as special as you think, and then here you are, the evolved, civilized, haircut-having, shoes-wearing, occasional shower-taking ape that you are. But what makes you different though? I mean, from the other biological stuff? Well, the most differentiated part of our brain are our prefrontal cortex, which is responsible for most of our human-like qualities, like planning and future-oriented thinking and impulse control, but also our vision. Nearly half our brain is involved in visual processing, which makes us extremely visually oriented animals, but apart from that, our neurochemistry hasn't changed that much. You still share most of your neural processes with rats. But what does this all mean? How does it relate to your identity problems? Why are you trying to justify your sense of self? Why do you seek meaning? I mean, here you are, sitting in front of an object that fires 2 billion operations a second carrying and translating information through electricity. As if that makes any fucking sense, which in turn is used to emit 2 million pixels at a time on something called a screen, each pixel holding a specific color, and somehow through some sheer fucking miracle of will, your eyeballs can take those 2 million pixels to make an image out of it in your brain, and be frantically typing on this screen and using this combination of words, blasting them on an interconnected system called internet. Something we built so that we can tell everyone everywhere what we are doing all the time, everywhere, instantly. And you watching and or hearing this. Both of us try not to melt by the sheer overwhelming mind-shattering amount of information fucking our brain at every instant. How does any of that make sense? And above all, how do you? I mean, what even are you? Your existence makes no sense by any metric whatsoever. You're a self-aware clump of atoms. There, I said it. You're an anomaly. You're something between matter and transcendence. Whatever you are is by all means an unfinished product. So no fucking wonder you ponder on the question of you. Alright, let's calm down a bit. On a less cynical note though, well, you're mostly still just an animal. That is, at the deepest core programmed for survival. Most of your actions and nearly all you are is unconscious processes that run in the background, and the conscious part of you only emerges and takes control when absolutely needed, because it is very energy consuming and Your body is programmed to preserve as much energy as possible, because that's how you evolved. But somehow we only identify with that conscious, resurging part of us, and by doing so only recognize a dwindling dim part of who we are, and by extension, reject the rest of us, which despite being unconscious is far much us than our conscious. What you are is far beyond what you're aware of, but the arrogance of the human mind tries to place itself beyond nature. Through that resistance, suffering and confusion is born. Our conscious is awareness. It can't help but ponder and ask questions. It assumes and tries to apply logic to itself, to the body, to its actions, to others, and by extension to the universe. It tries to extract inherent objective purpose to itself and life, something that doesn't exist, and when it inevitably fails, nihilism ensues. Existence is not logical. Existence is an experience and a feeling. Through the acceptance of this, you find true identity. The problem is that some wishy-washy intangible shit, but practically, what does it mean? How do you apply that to your life, to yourself? Let's start with this. What we fail so relentlessly to identify is that we are more nature than not, and we have tangible proof of that. We know and understand how our brain functions. Our decision-making, our emotional reactions, our thoughts are far beyond our control. But how can you understand and integrate that knowledge? Your perception of yourself and your unconscious are after all completely separate. In your perception, you get to observe yourself but end up failing to explain it, because it doesn't fit what you perceive yourself to be. You think you're the ego, the person that has the name that you have, that talks the way that you talk and thinks the way that you think. You're your memories and your actions. You're your beliefs, but for someone that so desperately tries to claim to be who he is, you seem to spend nearly all your life, all your energy and effort trying to prove that you actually exist. Have you ever stopped to ask yourself, why do you feel the need to? Existence, after all, should suffice itself. Only a lack of it would incite and create a need for it to be proven. Perhaps if enough people see and respect you. Perhaps if you prove yourself enough through mankind's many metrics. Perhaps if your parent verbalizes that they're proud of you. If your partner says that they love you 1,000 times. Or your music playlist gets enough approval from your friends. Perhaps if you get a career and a high-paying job. Perhaps somewhere along the intricate web formed by those threads you spend so much effort on, at some point in that process, you will finally find justification and proof that you deserve to live. What I'm saying is that the shakiness you have in your character is but a symptom of the fragmentation from nature, the act of accepting that you are mostly nature, meaning the act of seeing yourself as a manifestation of nature itself instead of being separate from it, will make you give up your search for identity, because your identity is nature embodied in you. Therefore, you are your unconscious and your instincts and feelings and everything else about you that you doubt the validity of, that you have no control over, little awareness of. By giving up control, you will become yourself. What you are is far beyond what you're aware of. Surrender to that thought and let it infest you. Remind yourself enough times that you get to no longer need to. You are nature and the universe bottled in a human being. And by some miracle, you get the privilege or the curse of being aware of that.